Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do a feedback loop. Basically, it's going to be like an auto feedback or even iterative feedback loop. And we can use this workflow as an example here. In here, I have an input image. There's the entire workflow. This workflow can be anything. And then in here, we are going to get our output image. So if I were to abstract all of this, I'll get something like this, where I have my image, the processing node, and then my output image. Let's make it as if this is a workflow that will be able to edit the images. So I would say something like this in my prompt, where I'm going to say change A to B. Let's make it as if we have A here, and output will show as B. Now, if I want to change B to C, I will need to get this output image here back into my input field here. There are a couple of ways to do this. Traditionally, we would be doing it like this, where we chain things. So once we get our output here, we'll just have another copy of our workflow. We pass that output back into the workflow, and then we get another output and we can repeat it. So we can do this chaining multiple times. Another way of doing it would be to right click on this output, and then you can come here and you can paste it. So we get the output here. So output green goes here, and then we say change A to B or change B to C, something like that. We'll get a second output here, and then you can repeat this. You can also go into your file browser, drag the output image here, and then change your prompt and do this. But what I'm aiming to do today is similar to Google Gemini or like the Nano Banana chat box. Basically, at the beginning, we have our input image. We give the input image, and then we say change image to A. It will return an output and it will give us A here. Now, next prompt, I'm just saying change A to B without having to pass this output. So the chat, this interface already know that this is my output. It needs to work on this, and it will change it to B like this. And you can keep on doing this. So that's basically what we will be doing today. So instead of using complex chaining or manual copying, we are going to simulate this Google Gemini star chat box, where the generated output will automatically become an input for the next generation. I always get comment on what is my setup. You can see my CPU here. This is my GPU. I have 12 gigabyte of GPU. I'm using 32 gigabyte of system RAM, and my CUDA version here is at 12.9. I'm also running the latest version of ComfyUI. The front end is at 1.42.8, and as you can see here, I do not have any custom nodes installed. I will show you all the steps to install the necessary custom nodes. Now, if you're curious, I will be using the FireRed image edit 1.1 as today's test case scenario. I will have this workflow in the description below. You will get the link. You can download it. You will also get these links that you can download, and the setup is very easy. Once you've downloaded it, basically you place this file inside the text encoders folder inside your ComfyUI models folder, and then this one will be inside LoRa's, this one inside VA. Once you've done that, you just need to go into the model section, and then you just select your corresponding model files here. Now, if you're not aware, the FireRed is able to do image editing, which is why I'm using it. Basically, once we edit something, we can continue editing it. Now, there's a little bit of setup that we'll need to do, and we'll need to install a custom node in order to do this. So at the top here, you can go into the manager, then click on custom nodes manager. At the top here, search for Impact Pack, and then select this one, ComfyUI Impact Pack. You can see my version here. Click on install, and I'm installing the latest version here. So if at the time of recording you find out that the latest version is not working for you, my latest version is 8.28. You can select that one in order to follow along. Click on select. After completing, it will tell you here, in order to apply the changes, you'll need to restart your ComfyUI. So click on this restart button, and then click on confirm to reboot your server. It will show at the top reconnecting, and you will see here after restarting you need to refresh your browser. You may or may not get a prompt like this that will ask you to refresh. Click on confirm. If you do not get the prompt, you can press F5 on your keyboard to refresh your session. If everything was installed correctly, you should see the ComfyUI Impact Pack installed, and there should be no import errors in here. This is a big custom node pack, and we will be using only 2 nodes for today. Double click on an empty space, search for sender. If you see this image sender, you basically have what we need, and then image receiver is the next node that we will be using. Okay, so I am inside of ComfyUI now, and I will actually share the final version of this workflow with you, but just for explanation purposes, I'm going to start right here. This is the basic FireRed edit template. You can go into templates here. If you search for FireRed, it's basically this template here, and this one has like subgraphs in it. So all I did was to click on it, drag out, and then click on this button here. You'll get everything here. So this is the same as what I'm showcasing here, just rearrange it a little bit. Okay, so in here we have our load image. It goes in this section here. That's basically the workflow, and then we have the output here. Now a few things that you'll need to know in case you have never used this workflow before. We have like a boolean, like a true false in here. Basically, it's like a switch where you can enable the lightning LoRa. And if we enable the lightning LoRa, it will use 8 steps. If this is false, clicking on it will disable it. When it is false, it will use 40 steps. For speed, I'm going to use the value true here, but for best result, you want to experiment and just click on this drop down and select your model files. Okay, so at the end here, we are going to double click on an empty space and we'll search for sender. Select the image sender, drag out, and this one will take an image or images as input. So we know here our VAE decode will give us image. So we'll pass this image to that image sender. Now, if we are sending the image, we need a way to receive the image. At the beginning here, just below the load image, I'm going to double click and search for receiver, and then I'm going to add the image receiver here. Now, as you can see, this one also outputs an image, but I will not be connecting this one just yet. I'm going to click on cube prop here, and it will take a while to load these models. I'm going to fast forward. Okay, so it's starting to generate here. Now you can see my prompt says change the hair color to black. Right now it's blonde, I guess. So in the case sampler here, we can see that it is generating here. We can pretty much see the preview here. It is black right now. So if you don't have the preview, that's not really an issue. You just need to enable it, and there's no need to use this exact workflow as it is. You can apply this concept for any workflow basically. So as long as your workflow is outputting an image, you can use the same concept. All right, so it's completed and we can see what's happening here. So right now we got our output image. This is the save node, but we have an exact copy in this image sender. So it's exactly the same. This image here is exactly the same here. The size and everything is same. So you can see 1024 by 1024, and this one as well is 1024 by 1024. Now this image sender will send the image to any image receiver with a link ID of 0, and I'm getting this 0 from this link ID here. So in the image sender, we have this field link ID. Basically, I can change it, and it will search for any image receiver with the same link ID. So for example, if this was 24 here, I will need to come to this image receiver and put 24 here. Okay, so it needs to be the same ID. Now, once you have your image receiver that is clearly showing you that output image, you can now connect this to your setup here. So we know that this load image is going into the flux context here. I'm going to connect it here, and you can see now this one disconnects and this here is connected. So basically, this is what we need to do. The first pass, you will need to have the initial load image. Once you've completed that first pass, then you will have your image receiver connect to your workflow. Now from here, you can see I have this image now as my input. I did not have to drag or drop or anything. I can basically say add a necklace. It will take this image and modifies it. Now we can see that we have our necklace here, but the image looks a little bit off right now. Okay, now after this completes, like basically after it generated this output, if we go back to our input, we can see that this image got updated right away. Now let's address the part where the image looks like over sharpened, and that's because in the default workflow the seed is set to fix. If we were to randomize this, and now just for the sake of simulating that previous example, I'm going to connect this back, and I'm just going to use the first output just to show you if we have a different seed, what's going to happen. So I'm going to change this seed number, keep the add a necklace the same, run, and once it's completed, you can see now the image is cleaner compared to the previous example. So again, just to illustrate the image sender and receiver here, I'm going to connect this back. You can see I already have this latest output here, and maybe let's just add like sunglasses to it. It will now use this image and add sunglasses to the output. Now, if you don't want this, you can always connect the load image back into your workflow, and then it's similar to going into like Google Gemini or ChatGPT and starting a new chat, basically clicking on this button to start a new chat. So in here we can see we have the black hair, we have the necklace, we have the sunglasses as well being generated here, and there's no limit to how many changes you can do to an image. As long as your model is able to do those changes, you can always do it. All right, so that's basically it for today's video. As a recap, what we've done here is having an image input for our first generation. We get an output, and then we pass that output to the second generation as input, and you can keep on doing this multiple times without getting complex workflows like this, or like doing copy pasting every single time. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from today's video. If you have any questions or any doubt, you can leave them in the comment section below. So I'm going to have this specific workflow link. The image receiver will be disconnected by default, since you will need to run the workflow once using the load image. Okay, so thank you for watching until the very end. Have a nice day. Take care. I will see you next time.